In the last video, we attempted to start this bike and we ran into a little bit of a problem. We did get it started, but it wouldn't stay started. And so I tried to swap the battery out, that didn't work. And then I changed the gas out and that didn't work. So today we're gonna try to figure out exactly what that problem is. And I'm gonna let you know what I think the problem is to begin with. First off, I learned that Indian conveniently puts the charging port here under the bike. I had it wired to the battery like you normally would a battery tender, so that was very unnecessary. So yeah, it's conveniently stored here. You just close it. So I used this last night to try to charge the bike with two different chargers, and it kind of worked and it kind of didn't work. I was able to get the bike started off my cheap Harbor Freight battery tender / float charger, but again, the bike wouldn't stay started. And then I tried using the charger that's set up for the Victory Gunner. Why? Because these bikes are kind of similar in technology, so my thought process was maybe it'll work because the Victory was on this charger, and it didn't work at all. I have the battery right here, and I don't see what year this battery is, but it is a YUASA battery, and it is a AGM battery, and it has a cranking amperage of, or CCA amperage of 310 amps. Yesterday I took the battery out of my M109R, which is brand new. I'm talking like a few weeks old. And then I put it in the Indian Chief, and guess what? Nothing. The bike, it just wouldn't start. And that is when I learned yesterday that the battery that's in the 109 has a CCA amperage of 200 compared to the 310 that's needed for this Indian Chief. So even though that battery is brand spanking new, this motorcycle battery, it is not enough to start this bike. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take this battery up to AutoZone, and I'm gonna get them to check the battery to see if it's getting 12.5 volts, which is needed to start this bike. And I'm gonna get them to just see if this battery is bad. So the battery was in this bike, which is a wrecked bike, and this bike has been sitting for a while before I got it. So it could be that this battery just got discharged too far down and it's just having, trouble, and it's just probably just a bad battery. But the good news in all of this is that we were able to get this bike started, which lets me know that we're on the right track. I even, again, took the old gas out of the bike. I did the old siphon trick. I had gas mouth yesterday to get that old gas out. So we do have some fresh gas-ish gas in here. But gas is better than that gas. And I'm just gonna put that gas in my lawnmower. So we're all good there. So I'm gonna go up here to AutoZone and get them to look at this and see if we can get a new battery and get this bike started for real. I do want to mention that when I did have the bike started for those 10 to 15 seconds, I was able to get some oil on this dipstick, and I can confirm that the bike does have a decent amount of oil in it. So there's like no weird, the engine's dry, there's no leaks or anything. And that was checked before I even got the bike, checking for leaks. But we're all good on that front, so let's see if we can get this bike started again. If you're new here, this is my wrecked and cheap 2022 Indian Chief Dark Horse that I got from a Copart auction. And in this whole series, we've been trying to put this bike back together and get it back running, and this is a major milestone, just simply getting the bike started. But it is not, I guess, a smooth process, but it is a process that's coming along piece by piece. And also in the last video, we got the left foot assembly installed, and we had the shift link back connected, which allowed us to rotate the wheel and get it completely in neutral. And I was able to confirm that the bike shifted through each gear, which lets us know that the transmission is still good. I don't know if you guys can see that shininess on the tank, but that's spilt gas and then attempt to get old gas out and get new gas in with the leaking. All right, so a lot has happened since I went and got this battery checked at AutoZone. They actually told me the battery was 100% and that it passed. So I put the battery back in the bike, left it on charge, tried to start it again. The bike would not start. So I've been going back and forth with my good friend Gorilla Biker. He does a lot of work on his own bikes, and he's been trying to help me troubleshoot this, and we still haven't been able to figure out what's going on. So I put the handlebars back on the bike, the throttle, electronic throttle, to see if maybe that's what's going on. I took the breather off so I could see if the butterfly was opening to the throttle body. I took the tank off. I checked the spark plug wires, checked the spark plugs themselves. I checked connections, everything. And I still wasn't able to get the bike started, but we have a new development. I pulled the 109 over here because I wasn't fully convinced that the bike wasn't having a battery related issue. I was getting ready to try to jump the bike off to see if that would help, because we've had the bike started already, and I've checked the oil, I've checked connections, and there was no reason why I felt like the bike was having any mechanical or some weird sensor setting, the fact that it did start. But then my neighbor walked up and I told him what was going on, so he went and got a jumper box. And after attempting to jump the bike off, he put the jumpers on the leads, and I tried to start the bike and it started. And guess what? As soon as he took those jumpers off, the bike cut back off. So I'm starting to wonder if AutoZone didn't give me the correct information, even though the machine, they showed me on the machine, it said 100% and that it passed. So this is the old battery right here. My neighbor, man, he's a real one. He had a spare motorcycle battery right here, and I just hooked it up, and we're gonna actually try to see if this is gonna start the bike. All right, I'm gonna try to start this, see what happens. This is such a crazy setup, but it's getting the job done. All right, fuel pump primes. You guys gonna get a straight look at the throttle body. Woo. Ahead and let the bike down so that wheel isn't turning in the back, but yes, the bike started. Let's try this again. All right, here we go. Like that. Come on, baby, get all that oldness out. Come on, let's try it again. Crazy how this throttle just sits on here. bike I got now, oh my God, we just proved a lot of stuff. So for starters, we just proved that the battery was in fact bad on this bike, even though the tests were showing that it's a good battery. I don't know enough about battery technology to understand why that battery was showing 100% and it passed. They showed it to me, and it wasn't enough to constantly not only start this bike, but keep the bike constantly running. Because yeah, I would get the bike started and it would cut off, but I wouldn't have enough juice to get it started again to kind of get the bike warmed up and get it back in a normal operating capacity. So yeah, it's the battery. And we also learned a few more things. We learned that you don't have to have a screen, infotainment on this bike, or anything else mounted for you to start the bike. There's a lot of technology in this bike, and I was honestly shocked that
the bike would start anyway, because I know friends that have Chiefs at this point in time and their bikes simply won't do anything. But I was worried about diagnostics codes.
And clearly there's no diagnostics codes that's stopping this bike from running. So we now know we have a perfectly running bike. So there's absolutely no issues at this point with the motor. That's good news.
The order of business now is to take this old wire harness back off the handlebars, and of course get my my throttle pieces out, and also put this airbox cover back on. It was cool to be able to see the butterfly open, and also get my neighbor his battery back. And I'm gonna take my battery back up at the AutoZone and tell him that that machine is not telling the full story.
This just shows me that I need to have more supplies on hand, like a multimeter. I had one at one point, but I don't have it now. And also have spare batteries so I could test this kind of stuff. Because I was gonna try to jump it off with the 109, but you know, it probably would have worked, but as soon as I took the cables off, it probably would have died again. But it would at least let me know that, you know, this is battery related. But I'm just surprised that this bike, with all this technology, you know, it's, to my knowledge, it doesn't have any diagnostics codes keeping it from starting. So either way, it's a lesson learned for anybody out there dealing with Chiefs. And it's kind of cool knowing that in this wrecked, weird looking state, this bike will still run. And my God, it is freaking loud. So hey, shout out to my friend Gorilla Biker for helping me pinpoint this issue. And also shout out to my neighbor. He's come through for me multiple times, but this time, yeah, this is a big come through and a big win.
So now that we know that the bike is running, once I get the handlebars on, and now I got a left foot shifter, we know that the bike can go through gears. We can probably get a weird little ride in, because that tank, even though it's dented, it is not preventing this bike from running.
So I'm about to go ahead and put all this stuff kind of back the way it was and go get a new battery. And yeah, we might get a chance to do a first ride soon in Mexico. But hey, if you want to support the channel more, I now have members turned on. You can click that join button down below and get behind the scenes video, because guess what? Those people have already seen this bike started. And if you're new here and you want to catch up on the series, you can click this playlist right here on the screen. It'll take you straight to the beginning in this entire Chief process. But as always, thanks for listening to my story. And if you're subscribed, I will see you in the next one. Peace.